Hello friends, welcome back. In this lesson, we shall be taking a look at what determines health. Most people associate good health with a good medical system, which means easy, cheap and good access to medicines. Well, that's only part of the story. Health is actually the natural state of every living being. Illness, disease or sickness is an aberration. So the attempt should actually be towards maintaining health, which is essentially the homeostasis of any living organism. Let us look at it from this point of view and develop an understanding of this concept. A very nice reference which I found online was Australia's annual health report. You will find this particular document is issued every year, and for every current year it is kept up to date, and in the following year it is published. I refer here to the 2018 and I also give the link. This document is also available in the references section. There is one chapter which is devoted to the determinants of health, which is exactly our topic for this particular lesson as to what determines health. And this is what this government publication has to say. This has been prepared by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare. It says that a person's health and well-being is influenced by individual, societal, and socio-economic factors. Medicine as such or medical facilities don't even figure in this particular summary. So let's proceed and look a little deeper. In figure 1.8.2, this report gives a framework for the determinants of health. I'm afraid some of you may not be able to see this fine print on your mobile screens, so I shall develop this diagram one by one. In essence, please remember, this is made up of a few rectangles and arrows. And arrows, as we know, have a direction. That directionality of the arrow must be taken into account, and I shall explain that in the next few slides. The outcome that we are looking at is health and well-being for all. The foundation for that is given in this graphic by the box at the bottom of the screen. And that box represents the bedrock on which health and well-being is going to be built. And that is individual physical and psychological makeup. When we are talking about these two factors, they are highly individualized and they depend upon some of these factors: genetics, antenatal environment, that means the environment in which a person is born, gender, aging style, life course, and intergenerational influences. These influences are cultural, they affect your food habits, they explain our interaction with other people, and in turn that affects our health. So individual physical and psychological makeup is one major input into health and well-being of a person or even of the society at large. The next big influence is shown in this box, which are the broad features of society and environmental factors. And in this we include social cohesion, affluence, that means how well-to-do the society is, the culture, the geographical location, and such other things. In fact, even media and language have an influence on the health and well-being of a person as well as the society. The next box over here is about socio-economic characteristics. And that includes education, employment status, income, wealth, family, neighborhood, housing, access to services, and of course, the status of a person in a country, whether that person is a migrant or a refugee, food security, and importantly, the attitudes and beliefs of the person and the society and the surroundings in which the person is living. This is the second key factor which determines health and well-being. The first box of broad features of the society and environmental factors affects this, which is shown by the arrow. Both these things in turn affect the health behaviors. These health behaviors can be damaging to the health, for instance, tobacco use, alcohol consumption, physical activity, dietary behavior. A lot of dietary behavior is responsible for the obesity in many countries because the stress is being compensated by food. Use of illicit drugs, sexual practices, vaccination. And then there are other psychological factors like stress, trauma, torture, and safety factors such as risk-taking, attitudes of people, violence in the society, occupational health and safety. All these things contribute to the health and well-being of each individual. Once again, the individual physical and psychological makeup affect this box as well. Now, all these two boxes join up together and they affect the health and well-being. As you can see, these arrows are all unidirectional. When we come to the third box, this arrow is shown in that graphic as bidirectional. In other words, these health behaviors affect both the other boxes as well, and the health and well-being of the individual. In turn, all these three affect this important box, which is biomedical factors. Biomedical factors are birth weight, which once again you will realize by now is of course dependent upon genetics, the environment after a person is born, the cultural, social, other influences, education of the parents, housing, access to services, and of course the health behaviors of the parents. And next in line is of course the body weight, which is commonly measured in terms of the body mass index, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, glucose tolerance, and immune system. So these biomedical factors are in the last box because they are affected by all the other ones preceding it. And finally, this also is a major contributor to health and well-being. As a matter of fact, it is only the biomedical factors which are seen by health professionals, whether they are doctors, they are caregivers, they are nurses, or whatever. As you will notice that today in the clinic, what we see in hospitals, we see in private practice is that all these other factors are getting the least consideration. Just think about your own experience in the clinic. In your practice, are you looking into all these factors? Factors like genetics, antenatal, environment, features of the society, education, employment. I'm sure this might not have even crossed your mind. But homeopathy is one branch of medical practice or one school of medical practice where these things are to be taken into consideration first. You'll see in the last module, you can read up the philosophy of homeopathic thought. And you will come to realize that it is these factors where we start our case taking or introduction to our patient. So as we saw, these factors have diminished in importance, and what is the center of focus in every clinical visit is body weight, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, glucose tolerance, immune status, and that's the end of it. Is that really a true representative of health and well-being? You have to think for yourself. Let us take a look at some numbers of annual drug sales worldwide. These figures have been taken from the internet from reliable sources for the year 2018. I've just taken a selection of drugs for disease or conditions which are known as lifestyle disease. First of all, look at anti-cholesterol drugs. These have been accepted even by the World Health Organization as being a lifestyle problem. The total sales are $20 billion, American dollars. Hypertension, something that is again described as a lifestyle condition. The total drug sales related to this particular ailment is 25 billion US dollars. Anti-diabetes drugs sell more than $50 billion. And mind you, all this adds up to just under 100 billion. And this does not include the cost of doctors, hospitals, and other things that go into the medical system. So just remember this number. $100 billion goes into annual drug sales worldwide, which just covers the last box in that graphic that we saw regarding determinants of health. I would like to recommend this book. This is written by a political scientist, and his name is John Lomborg. You can even see his videos online, particularly a TED Talk, which I shall be referring to shortly. The title of the book is How to Spend $75 Billion to Make the World a Better Place. This is the TED Talk. You can even get it on YouTube. Just Google the name John Lomborg. Global priorities bigger than climate change. Just imagine everybody is talking about climate change. People are getting Nobel Prizes for that. But nobody is thinking of spending just $75 billion, which is 3/4 the cost of the total sales of drugs for lifestyle diseases. This book describes, for example, a calculation on a malnutrition bill which can affect the lives of millions of children. If we were to spend just $3 billion over every year for 4 years, that would be a budget of $12 billion. And how do we spend that? $100 per child for 100 million kids, that comes to $10,000 million, or translates to 10 billion US dollars, is all that is required to wipe out malnutrition from this world. You can just wipe out one box from that graphic which we saw at the beginning of the lesson. And mind you, each dollar spent pays off $30 worth of global good. That is the return on investment. There is no other business that is going to give you such high returns. Continuing further, $75 billion spent globally can give every single human on the earth clean drinking water, sanitation, basic health care, and education. That's all that is required. It is less than the total spending on drugs which are related to lifestyle diseases. We cannot affect world politics, but you and me as healthcare professionals can make a big impact by taking into consideration the environment, the diet, the food habits, the lifestyle habits, besides giving medicines. And the right way to start is adopting the homeopathic philosophy when dealing with every single case. In this course, you will learn how to do that, and you'll see results with a number of examples of cases which will be quoted during this course. That brings us to the end of this lesson. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you shall see the other references provided in the references section and build up a mindset not to think of health in terms of medicine, but more in terms of lifestyle, in terms of joy, and in terms of a community effort, which is the need of the hour. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.